Welcome back to Bourbon Country Reacts, where Dustin is having a stroke or some shit.
No, wait. Is it?
I do this. No, they're even. You're good.
All right.
You smell toast.
Burnt toast.
So-
I thought that was your hair.
So,
Oh, wait. Oh.
wow.
I'm sorry. I choked myself up there. All right. So this is Keith. He's our musician.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
This is Dustin. He's our bourbon guy.
Yeah, I'm the bourbon guy. So we're going to talk to y'all about some country music that we don't know about because we're rock and metal fans.
Yep.
And we're going to talk to you about some bourbon stuff.
So, what kind of bourbon do you have for us?
Come on, join us on the couch. We are talking today about a Maker's Mark. Doesn't look like a normal Maker's Mark, though. It's got that,
It looks like a Private Select to me. They always put that stripe across the Private Select label.
Well, the old ones they did.
Mm-hmm.
They changed that up a little bit in the
Did
new
they?
ones. We'll get to some of those. But, so what's cool, I mean, obviously Maker's Mark, red wax with drips.
Apparently, Dustin has learned the drippy wax is a trademark.
It is. So you put drippy wax on your bourbon, guess who's coming after you?
These guys for a trademark infringement.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, sucks, right? So this is, as you said, a Private Select. Thanks for stealing my thunder, asshole. What? So this one is one you can't get anymore.
Okay, why not?
Because this was done by the Maker's Mark Taste Panel. So these are like their master distillers. So a Private Select, we may have talked to you about this before, but basically they take their normal juice, they pick some staves to put in a barrel that are different flavors. There are a total of 5 different staves that you can choose from, and you get a combination, 10 staves of any combination of those 5.
Which they drop into the barrel.
Right.
After the barrel's been aged for a period of time, they drop those in and age it longer.
For another 9 months specifically.
Yeah.
So
So
9 weeks. 9 weeks.
I've been on the Maker's Tour.
Yeah.
And I've seen the tasting room.
Yeah.
So what that is usually is there are customers around the world
Yeah.
who will come to a distillery to buy a barrel.
Yeah.
Maker's Mark has kind of this slick thing going on. Well, okay, we'll sell, not only will we sell you a barrel, but this barrel is going to have a custom stave combination, which are charred like 1/2 inch by 6 inch oak panels or other woods.
They actually toast them.
Okay, so they're toasted,
Yep.
which is a lower,
They're cooked, basically.
Yeah,
They don't char them. They
yeah,
just cook them.
and they'll drop those into the barrel. So in their tasting room, what would you say? They've got something like 1,000 bottles.
Probably 1,001
Because there are 1,001 possible combinations from all their staves.
from all the staves.
So, excuse me. They probably have 1,001 bottles in there. It looked like about 1,000 bottles to me.
Little tiny bottles.
So, if you're coming in there and you're willing to drop $85,000 or whatever,
It's not
50
that
to
much.
85,000 to buy a barrel of bourbon.
Yep. And you can't just be a Joe Blow off the street. You have to have a specific liquor license.
Yeah. So they will let you come in and taste as many of those as you want until you find the stave combination that you want your barrel to be.
Yep.
And then you write a really big ass check.
Yeah. And they give you the barrel too,
Yep. Yeah.
because it's a package deal.
Yeah.
But what's interesting to me about the Barrel Select is, so it kind of all came about when Maker's 46 was introduced.
Which I love.
Right. We'll get into a Maker's 46 at some point. And how that came about was, the owner of Maker's Mark at the time, his dad told him, don't screw up the whiskey, Junior. That was literally what he said before he died. He's like, don't screw up the whiskey. So they don't change Maker's Mark. But this gentleman, I can't remember his name, wanted to do something a little different. He used the same Maker's Mark juice, the same stuff, and he found a stave combination. So with bourbon, you can't add anything to it, right? But you can finish it. And he finished it with wood staves that he knew would impart flavors into the bourbon. So they're not artificial flavors, right? It's normal.
It's legit, natural flavor.
Yeah. So kind of how the Private Selects came about was, well, he had hundreds of trials that he didn't like. So spoiler alert, if you do the tour, the 46th combination was the one that he liked out of like 126. And that's how they got 46. So what's neat about the kind of a byproduct of that is, hey, let's let other people make their own 46.
Yep.
So that's what this is. So this is actually from their tasting panel. This is from their master distillers that said, this is the one we think's the best.
And you can get this where?
You can't anymore. You used to be able to get this pre-COVID in the gift shop at Maker's Mark, but now it's literally impossible to get. They can't even make it anymore, and the reason for that is on this particular stave combination, they've got 1 baked American Pure, 5 seared French Cuvée, 3 roasted French Mocha, and 1 toasted French Spice. They have discontinued the 3 roasted French Mocha. You can't do the Mocha stave anymore. They've replaced it with another stave.
Oh, so this is unobtainium except on the secondary market.
Yep. Or if you make friends with us, I'll let you get some.
Maybe.
Yeah. So what are we listening
Got
to?
a great nose.
We talked a lot about bourbon.
We've talked an awful lot about bourbon. So this is what the heck are we listening to? So this is Alan Jackson. Where Were You? Which, based on some previous recommendations you guys have made to us, I'm assuming is a September 11th theme tune of some sort.
Sounds right. I don't think I've heard it.
Yeah. So, well, I mean, us knowing nothing about it, why don't we check it out?
Let's do it. Yep. You called it. There's the
There's
Twin
the
Towers.
towers. Yeah.
Where were you when the world stopped turning on that September day? Were you in the yard with your wife and children, or working on some stage in LA? Did you stand there in shock at the sight of that black smoke rising against that blue sky? Did you shout out in anger and fear for your neighbor, or did you just sit down and cry? Did you weep for the children who lost their dear loved ones, pray for the ones who don't know? Did you rejoice for the people who walked from the rubble and sobbed for the ones left below? Did you burst out with pride for the red, white, and blue, and the heroes who died just doing what they do? Did you look up to heaven for some kind of answer, and look at yourself and what really matters? I'm just a singer of simple songs. I'm not a real political man. I watch CNN, but I'm not sure I can tell you the difference in Iraq and Iran. But I know Jesus and I talk to God, and I remember this from when I was young. Faith, hope, and love are some good things He gave us, and the greatest is love. Where were you when the world stopped turning on that September day? Teaching a class full of innocent children, or driving down some cold interstate? Did you feel guilty cause you're a survivor? In a crowded room, did you feel alone? Did you call up your mother and tell brother who loved her? Did you dust off that Bible at home? Did you open your eyes and hope it never happened? Close your eyes and not go to sleep. Did you notice the sunset the first time in ages? Speak to some stranger on the street. Did you lay down at night and think of tomorrow? Go out and buy you a gun? Did you turn off that violent old movie you're watching and turn on I Love Lucy reruns? Did you go to a church and hold hands with some strangers? Stand in line and give your own blood? Did you just stay home and cling tight to your family? Thank God you had somebody to love. I'm just a singer of simple songs. I'm not a real political man. I watch CNN, but I'm not sure I can tell you the difference in Iraq and Iran. But I know Jesus and I talk to God, and I remember this from when I was young. Faith, hope, and love are some good things He gave us, and the greatest is love. I'm just a singer of simple songs. I'm not a real political man. I watch CNN, but I'm not sure I can tell you the difference in Iraq and Iran. But I know Jesus and I talk to God, and I remember this from when I was young. Faith, hope, and love are some good things He gave us, and the greatest is love. And the greatest is love. And the greatest is love. Where were you when the world stopped turning on that September day?
Call it.
Yeah. So, I guess we got to tell our respective where the hell were we stories.
That's kind of where I was. So you were out by then, right?
Yeah, I was out.
So, but you fought in Iraq.
A little bit south of there.
Right, yeah. Not in, okay, yes.
Yeah.
In the desert region. What's the best way to put that?
So, let me come back to that.
Okay. Well, I guess that's not a fair comparison because the people that attacked us didn't come from there, right?
Yeah, they came from the ally we were protecting.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, so go ahead, man. Where were you?
I was in algebra class in high school.
Wow. Fuck, I'm old.
A little bit. But I won't forget.
I was late for work.
Yeah? Like, legit late? Just being late?
Legit late.
Like you slept in?
Yeah, just being late. Walked out. So it took about 20 minutes for me to get to work. 15 if I ran 130 the whole way. Was climbing into my leathers to get on the bike, head to the office. CNN was on, and I stopped because one of the towers had been hit.
Right.
I'm like, holy shit, a plane just crashed into World Trade Center.
Like, that's a big deal.
And then I watched on camera
Yep.
the second one hit.
Yep.
And I turned and yelled down the hall to my ex, "We're under attack." And she said, "What?" I said, "Get out here. We're under attack." And so I jumped on the bike after that, went to work. in retrospect, I know a lot of things that kind of happened that day. Like there's air traffic control recordings out there
Yeah.
of, I think it was like a United pilot. So because I had friends that were listening to like Rest and Control and the big air traffic control radios, the big regional centers, and I'm pretty sure it was Reston Center, and I think it was a United pilot that called in and said he was apparently looking out his window at an eagle loaded for bear, and
Do you want to explain to those folks what that means? I got
so that's
what
an
you
F.
meant.
That's an F-15. Loaded for bear means
Ready to
the
strike.
missiles on the wingtips are not blue.
Right. They're ready to go.
And looked out the window and said and called to Rest and Control. Rest and Control. Why is the high heat up here? And more importantly, why do we need the high heat up here? So the pilots had no freaking idea what was going on. At one point, apparently, I think it may have been Houston Center, got on and basically, because all the pilots are like, they're getting told all kinds of goofy directions, sent to airports that have nothing to do with their destinations.
Right. They're like,
being told
you're
to
going to
hold in
land
patterns.
now.
And of course, the patterns are like, what the shit? Or
Yeah.
the pilots are like, what the shit?
Yeah.
And finally, I think it was Houston Center, some guy got on the radio and said, shut the fuck up until you are addressed. Which is a huge breakage of protocol. Those guys are supremely professional. And it just froze everybody. So, yeah, and I remember, September 12th, standing outside the office looking up at the sky, and I lived under a very busy air corridor. Crystal blue sky. Not a contrail to be seen. Just absolute silence.
Everything was landed for
I was grounded for a week at least.
at least.
Yeah. I had a buddy that got stuck in Germany for something like 14 days.
I remember.
So a lot of the questions that he asks in this song, like, do you feel guilty as a survivor and all that shit?
Yeah.
No.
I'm sure. So, to be fair, it probably resonates with some. He went through a lot of progressions of different feelings, and I think each one hits a different kind of person.
So I will tell you I did feel guilty, but it wasn't until 2 years later.
Why is that?
When I'm watching my boys
Mm-hmm.
roll into Iraq,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been out for a few years,
Right.
and knowing that even if I went down to a recruiting center, they'd have been like, nah,
Nah, dog, you're out, man.
yeah, you've been out too long. That actually bothered me. When, the Marines were going into Fallujah and that whole shit show. And, man, that was brutal stuff. That was... that shit didn't make the news.
Right.
And what went on in Fallujah was some serious freaking shit, man. And when my boys were rolling in there, and I'm hearing and reading about it, and I couldn't be there, I was not a happy camper. I legit felt bad that I couldn't be watching somebody's back in a unit on a patrol or moving into some buildings or that whole mess.
Yeah, I get that.
But that was the only time I really felt guilty or anything about it, of that nature. Now, I will tell you that, he talks about, I don't know the difference between Iran and Iraq. Yeah, I do.
Right.
I know.
You know a lot
ton.
about that difference.
I have a lot of foreign policy study under my belt. You got, like, we kind of come off as a couple of freaking idiots doing
Well, we
idiot
are a couple
shit.
idiots doing idiot shit, drinking bourbon, listening to country music.
But when it comes to foreign policy and Middle East conflict,
You have a little bit of information there.
I'd surprise you. I know enough about it that I could create if I wanted to, and there's no way in hell I will. I could create an entire channel about it and garner significant
Views.
views.
Oh yeah, guaranteed.
And
I'd
not
subscribe.
and not conspiracy theory shit, like
No.
legit stuff. Because I've studied it both formally and in the academic world and on my own. So I actually know. When I read that, I don't know anything about Iran or Iraq. I'm like, well, you fucking should.
A little bit. Just a little bit.
That actually kind of grated me a little bit.
I thought it might. I was gonna get back to something you brought up when you saw that second plane hit.
Mm-hmm.
I remember that because we were just watching the news and the first building was on fire, and literally in the shot, you see the second plane hit, and you're just like, that wasn't an accident.
Yeah, there's an OODA loop. So, both in the study of foreign policy and military strategy at the really, really big level, like something like September 11th happens, it kicks off an OODA loop. And in the tactical level, somebody pulls a gun on you, it kicks off an OODA loop. So, what an OODA loop is: observe, you've seen it.
Mm-hmm.
Orient, meaning you begin to you understand what you're seeing.
Right.
So you understand, I just saw a second plane hit. You understand that is a gun and it's pointed at me.
Right.
Then so observe, orient, then you decide. So in the foreign policy realm, you have a decision. We've been attacked. We need to make a decision.
Right. What's next?
Do we respond? If so, how do we respond? Where do we respond?
Right.
What logistics are involved? That's the big picture OODA loop. The smaller picture OODA loop, I'm making a decision. Can I reach for that gun? Do I decide to just put my hands up because any type of defensive action is likely to get me shot?
Right.
So you've oriented to it. Now you make the decision.
Your next step.
Your next step, your next action, and then once you've made the decision, the act, which might be, just saying, dude, you can have my wallet, my cell phone, or it might be rolling armor into, you make your
city.
Decision. Yeah. So, exactly every American who was watching that broadcast went through that OODA loop.
So for me, obviously, I was much younger, right? And
You still went through an OODA loop.
I did. I was brought up in a pretty patriotic family. So I had some patriotism just built in. That, to me, kind of solidified that in a really weird way.
I don't think it was that weird. I think it was probably pretty common.
Probably.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think we've lost a lot of that,
Oh, we have.
which sucks.
Yeah, we got to avoid
Politics.
getting all
Yeah.
political.
So we talked about the song. Alan Jackson delivered it pretty decently.
He did a good job from I'm just a simple guy, don't know nothing
Yep.
kind of perspective, which, frankly, I'm not a fan of I don't know nothing.
Right.
Well,
That's not an excuse.
this is the internet age. The entirety of human knowledge is available at your fingertips.
Yeah, and it was still then also maybe not as much. I don't know that Google existed yet.
Yeah, it did.
Did it?
Everything was available.
2001.
In 2001, you could have had the entire history of the Iran-Iraq war. You could have known who Osama bin Laden was. You could have known about his previous attack on U.S. soil. You could have known why he did it, and you could have understood the rationale for exactly all of the Islamic extremism and hatred pointed at the West.
Okay.
You could have known and understood all of that in 2001 on the internet.
Okay. Well, you have a better memory than I do there. So, we talked about the song. Let's talk about this bourbon that's unobtainium.
I'm displeased that it's unobtainium.
Why is that?
Because it's a cinnamon bomb, and I love cinnamon bourbon.
It's a cinnamon chocolate bomb.
So I get that chocolate, and it's not, so I like dark chocolate.
Mm-hmm.
It's a milk chocolate finish. It's a little sweeter than what you would think of as like a dark chocolate finish.
I can see that, but with this, so when the cinnamon hits me, at the same time I get like it's like cinnamon powder and cocoa powder mixed together.
All right, let me
Let's try that again. And what saddens me, other than the fact that it's unobtainium, is honestly I think I don't know for sure. I'm not a master taster, but I think I can discern based on all of the private selects I've had that mocha stave and what it adds. They took it away. It's gone.
Yep, you're right. That chocolate's there.
It's definitely there.
Yep.
And now they've got this new stave that's like chocolate and fruit. And I'm like,
What's
What
that gonna do?
the chocolate was so good, guys.
It was, and I remember some of the private selects that I've had with stave combinations that I've liked had that mocha stave in it.
Mm-hmm.
At least one.
Yeah, I'm really surprised. I wonder why. You know, I should have asked.
You have to assume that Makers has done their damn market research. They knew what sold and what don't. And maybe we're just
Or
oddballs.
definitely oddballs. We're definitely oddballs. Let's clear the... Yeah, there's all... Like, we're definitely oddballs. But it could be they had too much trouble getting a hold of that wood.
You never
Because
know.
it's a specific... So it's a roasted French mocha.
It's possible the wood was a problem, I guess. And
Yeah,
this
maybe
is
it got too
post-COVID?
expensive.
Is this post-COVID?
Post-COVID.
Could have been early supply chain shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think of that, but that's absolutely possible. So, guys, sorry to have rambled on a little
If
too
you've
much.
stayed with us for this hour, probably an hour, I haven't kept track. But if you have and we didn't put you to sleep, hit the like.
Yep, give us go ahead and subscribe.
If you've watched this whole thing, you're probably already a subscriber.
Probably.
Thank you. If you're not, wow. Thank you. And go ahead and subscribe.
May as well subscribe
Yeah,
because
you've
this
already-
is as long-winded as we get. That's for sure.
Yeah, this is the longest one by far.
Yeah,
Promise.
so, click the little bell.
Yep.
So you get notified when new stuff drops.
Comments.
Get down in the comments. Tell us what we need to listen to. Tell us what bourbons to drink. We have an extensive list of requests for songs to react to. You want yours to the front? Send us a bottle of bourbon. Pretty much any bourbon. We don't care about price. Send us a bottle of bourbon
Yeah.
to the address in the pinned comment.
Yep.
And we will rocket your request to the front of the list. We just ask that please in the package with the bourbon, give us the song you want us to react to.
Country music song.
The country music song
Yep.
you
that's
want us to
important.
react to, and whether or not you want us to use your name on the channel.
Yeah. That's it.
That's it. So, hey, thanks for putting up with our dumb asses.
Till next time.
Take it easy.